and we have ourselves a guest in studio.
What's
The
up?
man, the myth, the legend. I just got to say it. Pitchford for 3.
Appreciate it. Thank you all for having me.
Yeah.
Big
welcome.
Walt, it's good to have you in town, little bro. I say little bro in name in word only because Walt's 6'11". He's not a little dude.
We're all looking up.
By any stretch of
All of us are
imagination.
looking up.
His heavenly waffles literally did come from heaven. On top of his head, they just came on down and just floated a little bit when you're that tall.
Hot man.
Walt, when we connected on Monday, man, you said, AD, I'm in town. It's like, man, we got to have Walt come down to the studio to see what's going on right now. Man, what's going on, my man?
Man, life. So for me, started a sports agency with Nick Van Axel.
And tell me, some folks don't know who Nick Van Axel
Yeah.
is, but Nick Van Axel, former NBA pro player, played at
Lakers,
Cincinnati. I believe where he played at
Or
Cincinnati
college, yeah.
Then played for the Lakers and a smattering of other teams too, did he? But Lakers was Nick the Quick, man. Nicky would break those ankles up quick, man.
Yeah.
He would get
He
you.
was that
How did
dude.
that connection take place?
Yeah, just being in the athlete circle, staying around sports, just had people connect me to other athletes. And over time, they learned to see, okay, this kid actually is taking business seriously. He actually has, a community behind him, and he's actually doing what he says.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, how that relationship formed.
Yeah. So, Walter, so let everybody know and the listeners saying where are you working now, and what's the job or the group name of what you're doing?
Yeah. So right now we're based in a few places, Texas and California. The company's name is 100X Sports.
Nice.
As an athlete, you have an agent or you have somebody in your corner that's telling you things. But from my perspective, I wish my agent could have done more for me. I wish that the people in my corner that were in that field could have done more and gave me education. So the reason behind the name is everything that we do at 100X Sports is we want 100X every aspect of an athlete's life.
Like that.
Oh yeah,
I like that. Well, you came here from Florida. First of all, born and raised in Chicago.
Yep.
Then went to high school up in academy up in Michigan, correct?
Correct.
And then went and played for Florida. And then you woke up and said, I'm going to come to Nebraska.
weather was horrible in Florida.
Yeah.
You left Gainesville, average 65 degrees every day. And you tell us about that. Why did you make it? This is because it's 2013.
Yeah.
11 years ago. So this is before a lot of the craziness we see now. What intrigued you about Nebraska to leave Florida and to come here?
Yeah. So I need to set that record straight because a lot of people have heard different stories and I've heard it. It's gotten back to me and I'm just like, that's a little bit off. But
you gotta tell a story.
Yeah.
So the reason I left the University of Florida, I was in a bit of a situation to where my grandfather fell ill and wanted to return closer to home.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, University of Florida is a great school as well. Basketball program that I was at, Coach Billy Donovan.
Yeah.
He's like a father figure to me, and there's no bad blood there at the university. So when I was searching for schools, one of my former AAU coaches was actually an assistant here, and he's treated me like family. He is family to me, and I trusted his word. My family spoke to Tom Osborne.
Mm-hmm.
After that conversation happened,
It's over.
it's over.
He's like,
He knows how to do that.
basketball.
Yeah, he knows how to do that. That conversation.
We'd like to get Walter here.
He's good at those conversations.
Big guy.
Yeah.
Maybe use him myself.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Walter.
All right, you never know. He's not Dr. Tom.
Who was the assistant?
So Coach Chin.
Okay.
So I played for AAU ball. I was on two teams, Team Detroit, and I played for Mac Irvin Fire out of Chicago.
Nice.
So when you were at Florida, you said you played under Coach Billy Donovan. Did you have any relationship with Mark Dagnall down there now that he's the head coach of Oklahoma City Thunder?
Yeah, we talked a lot. Mark's an awesome person, awesome human being. He's so humble, and he never brags about anything. He just goes in and gets the job done. So all the players have a great relationship with him. I would say through the whole staff, they did a great job putting that staff together. So,
Folks, quick announcement again. If you come down before 10 o'clock, you can get these certificates as well as the pictures and autographs with Walter Pitchford and Amon Green. Those things will definitely hold their value.
I will sign if requested.
If you get down here before 10,
we don't just need to worry about it.
Yeah, you just keep rolling with
keep
it.
on rolling.
Yeah.
Those two certificates, those two gift cards are yours. And you got a picture with Amon Green as well as Walter Pitchford and autographs as well. Well, let me ask you this, man. You look at the time that you had here at Nebraska. You were a threat all over the place, man. Inside, outside. Although I did beat you a few times in pickup horse.
Oh.
We'll let that slide.
He's never said that.
He's never said
He doesn't
that.
remember either, but that's all that matters.
I
I remember.
Maybe you will mention that.
I don't recall that one.
You don't recall it, did you? My ball may have been swatted to 27th Street, but that's beside the point. When you look at the landscape of college basketball right now, WP, because think about this. Even in the time, figure 11 years ago, when you were here, there was transfers that went on. But, on your resume, it's going to say, Florida and Nebraska. You're going to have some guys now,
Just
like
one.
they're going to have 5 schools.
Yeah.
X, Y, Z, this school. Let me ask you this. How would you think, is this, what you see with the NIL, the transfer portal now, is it, now, regardless of what it is what it is.
Mhm.
How do you think it's changing the dynamics of college basketball besides the obvious? You know what I'm saying? All the different things that are going on. Do you think it's helping their development or is it hindering their development?
Being a former athlete, right? So I feel like I have a different perspective, right?
Mhm.
You all have a different perspective, being
Yep.
former athletes. I think, there's a lack of education. That's where
Mm.
there's an issue and what bothers me. But is it great for the sport? 100%. I think at the same day, if you're going to treat it as, a job, if you're going to treat it as, you're not an amateur, then I'm all for it. It's the same thing with the pros. I just think that there needs to be a level of education
Yeah.
when it comes to this new wild west.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely is. Definitely is. So what motivates you in the work you have, beyond being an athlete? Because like you mentioned, off mic, that you're, making sure that the athlete gets all the support they need, and because from your point of view. So what's been the most inspiring part about that part?
Yeah, I think the most inspiring part about it is for future generations to see, like, look, this guy was an athlete.
Mhm.
He went to, one of the third best schools in the nation at the time at Florida, and then top 25 team when I played here with Nebraska basketball. And it didn't, his path went a different way, and he made something from it. He did something that maybe no one believed, or, where he didn't even see himself, create a sports agency and an investment firm. And I have other companies as well. I want the younger generation to know, don't let the sport use you. I want them
Right.
to know that there's more than just sport.
Yeah.
Anyone that tells you have to focus just on this, they're putting their insecurities or what they can do onto you. And I don't think that's right. And I think, kids and just the future generation should shoot for the stars, try, many things as much as possible.
Oh yeah.
Because these are the times that you want to do it in your teens, your 20s, even your 30s. That's the time that you have room to do all those things. So, yeah, that would be my inspiration.
When did
Good
that
question.
click
Good
for
answer.
you? When did that click? Because I know, I'm 23, but at 16, I wasn't thinking about, all right, I don't want to do an investment firm. I want the next generation of Knicks to be like, okay, I can do stuff outside of the mold, right? So when did that click for you that it was like, all right, this is the path I want to take?
Yeah, I would say growing up for me, and this will, tie into it, but growing up for me, I had a very entrepreneurial background. My grandfather and 3 others created an organization that was with McDonald's, and it was the MBMOA, the National Black McDonald's Operators Association. And for me, hearing about it, being around my grandfather, being around my parents, like they instilled that type of drive that, yeah, you're playing the sport, but understand, there's other things out there.
Mm-hmm.
My grandparents could care less if I played sports.
Right.
I never truly liked basketball from the start. So that's the crazy thing. It was
a vehicle.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a vehicle. And
Yep.
my parents, pushed me in the sport. And like anything, when you put in time, repetition after repetition, you
Yeah.
fall in love with it.
Yep.
And that's just natural. But for me, I would say it started at a very young age for me because it was instilled in me.
That's what's interesting, just because as we talked about, the landscape is so different than what it was when you played, right? So then to have the forward thinking to adjust and adapt to what the current landscape is, and have that mindset before this current landscape was even a thought, is kind of interesting to think about.
Absolutely.
It's because it's just ever changing, and it's never going to stop changing.
Real quick, D-Ron says, I'll take that coffee if it's still available.
Yep.
Absolutely. it is.
D-Ron,
Just
come on down.
Just have to come down to the
Come
studio.
on down, D-Ron.
D-Ron, come
Hurry
down and
up.
get it. And you got, like I said before, until 10 o'clock to go
Hurry
grab
up.
that to get pictures and autographs with Amon Green and Walter Pitchford, who was in the house. Go ahead, Walt.
Yeah, so I got something to say too. And this is something funny. Because back then, 2014, you didn't see a lot of, I'm tooting my own horn. I don't do that much at all. I've learned not to do that.
How valuable, I know where this is going. How valuable would Walter Pitchford be in 2024? What's the NIL value? I know exactly where this is going.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't see a lot of 6'11" guys able to stretch.
Imagine, Husker Nation. Imagine Casey and I spreading the floor.
Oh my God, that's a problem.
He shot high 40s, maybe 50 or even 9% from the three. I shot 41% from the three.
Right. Fact.
6'11" and 6'4".
That works.
With a 41-inch vert.
So,
Yeah.
speaking of spreading the floor, you still keep tabs on Nebraska basketball?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, you do.
Nebraska, everybody that that played here, it's home.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
home base for us. So always keep tabs on them. I got to look at the rules and see what can be done. But I would love to be here this summer and take a guy or two under my wing to just work on shooting, just work on form shooting the whole summer because it's repetition.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if
Yep.
anyone wants to know, like, my dad would say I've been a good shooter, but I remember summers that I was here at Nebraska before the season, and all I did was get 1,000 shots up every
Yeah.
single night.
Mm-hmm.
Every single night, get 1,000 shots up. Game speed, form shooting, just touch shooting, and I would love, to be able to do that with some of the bigs that come in, some of the stretch fours that come in, if it's allowed. So I gotta.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a
true.
conversation you got with Fred real quick. And I don't, like I said, you guys, but one thing about basketball I've noticed too, AG, a lot of us, I think it's a numbers thing because a lot of us, there's that family fraternity we have as football players, but there's so many. There were guys on the team, AG, we didn't even know.
Yeah. Basketball?
Football.
Oh, football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because there was so many.
Give or take.
It was
Yeah,
irritating.
true.
But on basketball, there's 15 of you.
Yeah.
It's more intimate. You're around each other
Yep.
all the time. You're traveling. The one thing I've noticed about the basketball guys, even when they all come back from Henry T to yourself to Chubbs to where Mr. Maxey, who was here in the 50s, you guys have a very tight knit fraternity of former guys. And it crosses generations because again, you're dealing with 15 guys instead of 115.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of
112.
us.
Now football is tight. Don't be wrong, but there's so many.
It's
Some
just a lot
guys you
of
didn't
us.
know as well.
Well, it's crazy. Like you look at the roster from even like 2000s, even the 90s, and there's names that pop up, and you're like, "Who was
Don't
that?"
know.
Yeah,
In basketball, you're at least
know
familiar
everyone.
with the name.
Yeah.
To where in football, myself, people say, I remember you played. No, you don't.
Because I don't even remember playing.
Oh, sorry. Well, if you know about me, it's because I'm a speaker who happened to be on the team. So, but that's different with basketball, and those guys know each other.
well,
You
unless
understand?
you had a runs a ticket stub, and then maybe they knew.
I kind of cheated, spoke down some runs.
You know who I am. I'm on the team.
Still tease me about that. Yeah, you did. You cheat. I'm like, Coach, I know. I cheat the whole state on the runs.
Runs gonna come after AD. He's like,
You probably need that
plus
past
interest.
NIL from runs.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Saved
You
all
know,
that money.
You look at. We just got Braxton Mia.
Yes.
Okay, young man that's from Utah. Went to played for first couple years at Fresno. Then went to Washington last year. He's 7'1". Here's the thing about it, guys. And think about this. You played multiple positions. You're kind of a utility knife. This might be the first true big man we've had that will see significant. They can potentially see big game time. You know what I'm saying? Well, you being that guy, the last guy we had at 6'11" that was all over the place. Because tell me this, who's the other guy since Walt?
This guy's 7'1" too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's taller.
He's taller.
So I can't think of one. What that
Because
brings,
Marich was before you, right?
Very
Yes,
much
yeah.
before.
Yeah, wait,
very much before.
Yeah.
Also a
Before
stud.
the
Also
wall.
a stud.
Yeah, also.
Yeah, he was a baller.
Yeah.
He was a
Man,
baller. But I can't think of
Same
a
with,
guy
like,
since
Jorge
Walter.
Bryant,
Since Walter at
Diaz,
6'11", that was as mobile and
Yeah.
that did things inside
Oh,
outside.
yeah,
Because
that's
I'm
crazy.
not saying there is. I'm saying help me.
I-
And Jerry Maguire, help me.
Yeah,
help you.
Because like Isaiah
Who was
Roby,
that last
Isaiah
guy?
Roby's
Who was that last
6'10".
guy?
Isaiah Roby is
Ibaka's a
6'10".
Yeah, Roby.
Would you say Roby?
It'd be Roby, which would be the closest one.
It'd be Roby.
We were
Roby's
going
also
crazy with
4.
Derek Walker, and what was he? 6'7"?
Yeah, he would. Yes. He was 6'7", 6'8".
Yeah, he was a
Maybe
beast.
a 6'8".
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
a beast though.
Yeah,
awesome.
he was a
Did a
baller.
lot of little things.
But the
well.
last guy I can think that could roam the court pretty much 2 through 4, 3 through 5, 3 through 5 at least, was the last one. Was probably Roby, man.
Yeah.
So what do you think would have helped for Nebraska to bring in a guy like Braxton Mia with that type of presence? And like I said, if you look at his numbers, they don't jump at you, but his presence does. What does that do for Nebraska basketball?
That guy's a beast. He's 7'1" and he dunks everything. You know, that's what Nebraska needs.
Yeah.
They need somebody like that. Get the boards, still, run the floor, just clean up. And at the same time, if he embraces it, I mean, I've seen his game. He's a special talent. I think he'll do very well inside of the Big Ten. So I'm just looking forward to, seeing if I can meet the young kid, or he's younger than me, but I'm starting to call all these guys young kids.
32 years old?
Yeah, 32.
Yeah, they're all kids. You know.
Yeah, they're kids now.
Yeah,
I
those
love it.
days.
Same way for Nick now too. They're all younger.
Yeah. You got all these 19-year-olds signing Major League Baseball deals. And I'm just like, dang, what was I doing at 19 years old?
You guys, a few more before we go to break, man.
I have to ask you,
Yeah.
man. So there's this weird statistic out there of like when you started the game with a 3-pointer, Nebraska won. Were you aware of that?
No, I was just having fun.
Hey, I gotta
I love that.
because I gotta ask about like the No Sit Sunday because I was there and you started that game with a 3 against Wisconsin.
We're gonna win.
I remember it vividly. I want to say some of those guys on that team were like Siobhan and Teran Petaway. Was David
remember
Rivers
Petaway.
a part of that team too? So you got a couple of guys there. I might be missing one. Was like Benny Parker
Yes.
still there? Okay.
BP.
So anyway, Benny was like a little Energizer bunny running
Where's he
around.
at now?
Man, I haven't kept in touch with BP, but I've been following him on Instagram here and there. I got to reach out to him, see where he's at. But that's a special talent.
Let's talk about No Sit Sunday about being on the floor because I know what it was as a fan being in the stadium as a 13-year-old. When Nebraska, when that was like,
Just aged all of us.
Were you off punishment?
I just got ungrounded. And they said, "All right, Nick, we can take you to the Nebraska basketball game." No, seriously, it's like we know, and we still talk about that as like the best atmosphere PBA has ever seen. Talk about it as a player.
Yeah, that obviously was a very special game. Punched our ticket, to the NCAA tournament. So for me as a player playing in that environment, I would say with the best fans in the whole entire country, hands down, super supportive, win, loss, even though we didn't do much losing, super supportive. So for me at that game, seeing Frank Kaminsky, Sam Decker, all those guys, like it was a statement, for us they were one of the best teams in the nation. It was a statement for me specifically to go out there and improve myself, not just to myself, but also to get respect from like the Frank Kaminsky's, to get
Mhm.
respect from
Mhm.
you know the Wisconsin or the state. And for me, it's probably one of the top, I would say, top two greatest you know games that I've played in. Um, it's a very special moment to me, due to us obviously winning, but the fans that support us didn't sit. Like, where else do they really do that?
Yeah.
I wish we could have put the gym in the stadium though. That would have been sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, because
That would've been
and like part of that, Tim Miles
Yeah.
was here,
Oh, I
and
remember.
and Tim, his career, it's a weird but productive relationship between like Nebraska fans and Tim Miles nowadays, even because there's no like bad blood, there's no love lost, right? I think if you ask Husker fans, they love Tim. They brought Nebraska, or he brought Nebraska with you guys to the end, back to the NCAA tournament and stuff, and it just kind of ran its course. Plus, leadership may have played a factor into it. And so, like, you see Tim Miles, talk about Tim Miles as a coach, because I know there's a lot of Husker fans that still follow Tim out at San Jose State.
Yeah. So for Tim Miles, obviously, you got to give credit where credit's due.
Absolutely.
Coach of the year.
Mhm.
That's a tremendous award. It's big time. The fact that in the amount of time of recruiting the guys that he recruited to get back to the NCAA tournament, that's something that is special. But just outside of basketball, when guys needed something or they needed to talk, like, he made himself available. There's so many different things that you could say about him, but overall, I'm always going to be grateful wherever. That's one thing I have learned: always be grateful no matter what. He didn't have to give me a scholarship,
Mhm.
regardless of where I came from. He didn't have to give me a scholarship.
Yeah.
So I'm always going to be grateful for that opportunity, to play here, to play under him, to play with the guys that he brought in, to play in the great state here. So for him, I tip my hat off. We had a great, I don't know if I can curse on here, one hell of a year.
Oh, you're
Oh,
fine.
that's not,
You're good.
That's not even a curse word.
You ain't heard nothing.
Right.
Yeah, you good. Yeah, you good.
You ain't heard.
Yeah.
You should hear the gymnastics people.
The best part was he goes, I don't know if I can curse, but I'm gonna do it anyway. we didn't have time to be like, no, you can't. We didn't have time.
It just shows how grateful I am for him as a coach. We had one hell of a year together, and I'm very thankful. So, Coach, if you're out there listening, thank you for the opportunity, and I hope all is well, and I hope you have a successful season.
Folks, we got
Awesome.
a last one here. We got an unknown texter 7576 says, when Pitchford was on the team for the Huskers, my husband and I were in the Cayman Islands, and we were wearing Husker stuff. And we met some people who told us they were related to him, and all they wanted to do was talk about Husker basketball. They were in the Caymans. Walter, how do people follow? I mean, because I know you're not on social media a lot because you're grinding out there. What's your Instagram handle?
Yeah, so my Instagram handle, you can type in Walter Pitchford, or the handle is, I think it's Lord W. Ford. I don't know why I put that, but regardless, if you type in Walter Pitchford, I'm in a suit. So, I'm not dressed down like I'm dressed right now,
What
but
about on Twitter?
yeah, on Twitter, the same thing. But yeah, just reach out. I respond, follow, I'll follow back.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Hey, listen.
Another follow for Ralph.
So Walter, I'm going to turn all the other mics off real quick. So Raph is about to follow you. Don't feel like you have to follow back, because then it's just relentless. I just wanted to let you know, okay? Just be aware of be aware of what you're going to get
Yeah,
into.
Ryan, you want to just put in your license number? Chris
Yeah. Hey, what's your social security number?
He said he responds back.
No, but seriously, for something like that, I'll definitely be falling back. I want to, be back in the community as much as possible.
Scooter from Roca says, Sip says hell 10 times a day. No biggie. Steve Simple. Scooter from Roca, appreciate you. Folks, this is former Husker Walter Pitchford. was with us this morning. It definitely will not be the last time we have Big Walt. And want to give a big shout out to him. And just crazy proud of all the success that he's involved with. And not only that, helping others become successful as well.
Yeah.
Remember, Walt was at one of my boys' graduation parties here in the yard. And the thing that I remember the most about Walt when you were living here and we would hang out, you were always, and AG, the same way. You guys have big names and people recognize you. Walt, your just stature alone, is going to be noticeable. But I've watched you both for years. Obviously, me and AG being this, close to the same age. But Walt, we were hanging when you were here. You always took time for people. And it doesn't surprise me the success you're having because you never was about you. And Book would always say, he's just like a big kid. He's just a big, fun kid because you were always talking. Even the neighborhood, the kids would come up, talk to him, be in the driveway. And those things go along because people don't forget that. I've never, and AG, I know you know this particularly yourself, in that even when you're off that day, they're going to remember that moment they saw Amon Green. And as tired as you were at times, much you didn't want to deal with it, you've always done it with grace because you realize that's somebody's first time they're going to see you, and maybe the only time.
Learned that a long time
Absolutely.
ago.
And Walt, you have those same qualities, man. So to both of you, thanks for what you do. I know there's a lot of parents and a lot of people, a lot of fans that appreciate that in this new day and age of prima donna where people are just rude. I mean, what I want to say, I definitely say on there.
It's all about them. It's all about them. That's what some people are. But real quick, I also sent out to what Walter's doing. playerscapitalgroup.com is the website.
No. So that's our website is Pro Players DC Club.
Sorry
and
about
then
that.
we have a website coming out shortly for 100X Sports.
There we go.
To
just wanted to get that out there too.
Absolutely.
Because you talked about at the beginning, just remind people about where you can find them on social and on the internet too.
No, I appreciate that. A lot of people starting to use my name on sites. And, I don't know about that one.
Yep. Which is it happens a lot in this day and age of cut and paste people's names, that's for sure. Folks, again, we have former Husker Walter Pitchford in the house. Appreciate his time while he was in town to do this.